Good morning, dear students. Are you all fine? I hope you all fine. Are you ready to listen online video? Okay, students. Today we are going to see a interesting lesson, new lesson, light, shadows and reflection, lesson 13, unit 6. Okay, light, shadows and reflection. Okay, students, I like to ask few questions for you. We see a variety of objects of different colors, shapes and size, isn't it? When are we not able to see things around us? Then, why we do not engage in their regular activities during night and prefer to sleep? Yeah, why? It is when our eyes are closed or when it is dark we cannot see what are the things surrounding us, isn't it? Then, why we suggested work on daytime? Because the daytime only we are getting light, isn't it? During night we cannot see the objects. That's why we prefer sleep on night. So what should we need to see the things? We need light to see the objects, isn't it? Today we are going to discuss about light. Already we were learned in lesson 6 some of the points about light. In this lesson we are going to see some more deep about light. Okay, students? Okay. So, according to the base of light, we have to divide the objects into two types. They are luminous objects and non-luminous objects. Objects that give out light are called luminous objects. Example, can you try to say some luminous objects? What are they? Torch light, tube light, candle. Then night we can see something. Some insects. That is firefly, isn't it? So these are the objects gives us light. Then one more things. When we look sky, we can see more stars and a moon, isn't it? So they are also giving light. During daytime, we can get light through the great light source of sun, isn't it? What is non-luminous object? Objects that do not give out light of their own are called non-luminous object. Example, wall, chair, table, pen, scale and bag are examples of non-luminous objects, isn't it? Then next we are going to see sources of light. Okay, an object that gives out light is called a source of light. That means all luminous objects are source of light. Okay, source of light also can be classified natural source of light and artificial source of light. Okay. Can you say example of natural source of light? Yeah. Source of light found in nature are called natural source of light. For example, sun, stars and firefly. Okay. Why we cannot say moon? Yeah, moon don't have its own light. It is getting light from sun and it will be reflected on night. Okay students, so moon is not a source of light. Okay, that keep in mind. Then next we are going to see the transparency of materials. Transparency of materials. Already we learned the transparency of materials in lesson 5. Do you remember? Yeah. Materials can be classified as transparent, translucent and opaque depending on the amount of light can pass through them. That means materials that allow light to pass through them completely are called transparent materials. Can you say the examples of transparent materials? Yeah. Clear air, clear glass, clean water, some kinds of plastic and cellophane paper are the example of transparent materials. Okay, little more elaborate we can study materials that allow light to pass through without significant scattering or absorption. Okay, without significant scattering. Scattering means when a beam of light is incident on a material and the rays get deflected in many directions. Okay, that means we can see sunlight is, sun rays is touch the water. We can see what happens sometime. Yeah, the rays will be deflected, isn't it? So, because of that, water droplets will be shining, isn't it? Yeah, like that. That means materials that allow light to pass through without significant of scattering or absorption. Directly it will be pass the light. Okay, these materials are called transparent materials. Are you clear? Yeah. Next, we are going to see translucent materials. That means materials that allow light to pass through them but scatter or diffuse the light as it passes through. Okay, that means a parallel beam of light comes through in all directions are called translucent materials. Okay, that's why, that means the light is comes through all directions. Because of that, an object cannot be seen clearly through the translucent materials. Okay, that simply we already learned. That means the materials that pass through the light partially. Partially means what happened? Yeah, here the light is, that means the light is because of scattering, it will be reflecting all directions. Okay, that's it. We cannot see the object clearly. Okay, so these type of materials are called translucent materials. Example, butter paper, frosted glass, paper smeared with oil and smoked glass are the examples of translucent materials. Then, which is the next type? Yeah, opaque materials, isn't it? Materials that completely block light are called opaque materials. We will not be able to see through these materials. Examples of opaque materials are metal, mud, cement, coal and wood, etc. Okay. A mirror is a very good example of an opaque materials. Okay. An ideal mirror does not let any light to pass through it. That's why we can see our image on mirror. Okay. So, plain glass is a example of transparent object, but the mirror is the example of opaque object. Why? Backside, if you see, backside of the mirror will shade, isn't it? Yeah, some color will be painted in the backside of the mirror. That's why the light is reflected, so we can see our image. Okay, students? Now are you clear? Okay. Students, now let us see the three types of materials. First one, transparent materials, that is glass sheet. Next one, opaque materials, that is paper. Third one, translucent material, that means oil applied paper. Okay. So, three types of materials I have. Now, we are going to differentiate transparent, translucent and opaque. For that, I took one flower. Okay. Now, I am going to show this flower through transparent material. That means glass sheet. Okay. See. Now I show the flowers through transparent material. That means glass paper. Can you see? Is it visible? Yeah, clearly you can see it is clearly visible. So, this glass paper is transparent. Okay. Next one, opaque. That means paper. Now I show the flower through paper. Is it visible? Can you see? You cannot see, isn't it? So, this paper is opaque materials. Opaque materials. Okay. The next one, oil applied paper. That means translucent material. Now I show it to the flower through translucent material. Is it visible? Only the yellow color is visible, isn't it? But you cannot see properly the flower, isn't it? It is not clearly visible. So, this oiled paper is translucent material. Are you clear now? Now let us watch a video.
We perceive almost 80% of the world around us by using our sense of sight. We see objects around us with our eyes. But then why don't our eyes see these objects in the dark? The answer to this question is light. We are able to see the objects around us because of the light coming from these objects. The light from these objects travels in space and reaches our eyes. When it's dark or during nighttime, as there is no light, we are unable to see these objects clearly. Some objects can generate their own light. For instance, the sun, the fluorescent bulbs, burning candles can generate their own light. The objects which generate their own light are called the luminous objects. Almost all of the objects that we come across cannot generate their own light. The table, a chair, wall, paper are few of such examples. Such objects are called as non-luminous objects. But I just told you that we see objects around us because of the light coming from them. And if objects like these cannot generate light, then how come we are able to see them? We are able to see them because of the reflection of light. These objects reflect the light to our eyes. What light are they reflecting? Where is the light coming from? This light is nothing but the light coming from the luminous objects. So how can we summarize this? We are able to see non-luminous objects because they reflect the light of the luminous objects falling on these surfaces. Let me repeat. The light coming from the luminous objects falls on the non-luminous objects. Non-luminous objects then reflect this light, and this reflected light travels towards our eyes. And that's why we see the objects. In the daytime, we are able to see blue skies, the white clouds, and the green grass because the light from the sun is getting reflected by them and traveling towards our eyes. At night, we are able to see the moon because it is reflecting the light from the sun. Note that moon is non-luminous and it cannot generate its own light. As I said earlier, most of the objects that we come across in our daily life are non-luminous. We only see them because they reflect the light.
Objects are classified as transparent, translucent, or opaque depending upon their treatment of light. Objects that allow light to pass through them are called transparent objects. Most of the light falling upon a transparent object passes through it to the other side, thereby allowing us to see through them. Glass, clean air, pure water, etc. are examples of transparent objects. Objects that do not allow any light to pass through them are called opaque objects. As a result, we cannot see through them. When light falls on an opaque object, its shadow is formed on the other side of it. Wood, sheets of metal, dark-colored plastics, rocks, etc. are examples of opaque objects. Objects that are partially transparent and partially opaque are called translucent objects. They allow light to pass through them in a scattered or diffused manner. Frosted glass, tracing paper, greased paper, etc. are examples of translucent objects.
Students, I hope you all learn about luminous and non-luminous object and transparency of materials. Now I like to give one home assignment for you. Give two examples of the following. First one, luminous object, non-luminous object, natural source of light, artificial source of light, transparent materials, translucent material, and finally opaque material. Okay, students? Thank you.